the Shpole Zaide says, I swear, you're not going to ever have children. So R Pinchas said, if I have any merit in heaven, I swear that this year you're going to have a kid. It's not a simple thing. You have two tzaddikim. They both swore, and their oaths are exact opposites. So who do you listen to?
So high. And if you listen with your heart, you just...
Okay. Here goes the story. So everybody, well, not everybody, but many of you have probably heard of the Shpole Zaide. And so one of the chassidim of the Shpole Zaide, one of the people who was a follower of the Shpole Zaide, he didn't have children. And whenever he could, whenever he was by the Shpole Zaide, he would ask for a bracha to have children. And he would never really get a clear answer. What? The Shpole, he would always ask the Shpole Zaide for children, and he would always push him off. He wouldn't give him a bracha. One time when he decided he was going to travel to Shpole Zaide again, he said, this time I'm going to go and I'm not going to stop asking Shpole Zaide. I'm going to go and I'm going to push it, kvetch and push and really drive the Rebbe, so to speak, crazy until I get my bracha. So he goes and he sees the Shpole Zaide and he starts to ask him. He's in the middle of thinking very deeply, and he asks him for a bracha for children. Shpole Zaide tells him, please, right now I'm dealing with. He was deep in thought. I'm dealing with something that has to do with the good of the entire Klal Yisrael, and I can't deal with an individual's needs right now. And this chassid hears this and he says, 1 second. If right now the Shpole Zaide is so deep in thought and trying to accomplish something for all the Yidden, it means that it must be an Eis Ratzon. It must be a time in Shemayim where you can ask for, an appropriate time to ask for things. So now is not a time that I should not ask for a bracha. I should pester the Shpole Zaide even more to get a bracha. And so he asks and asks, and the Shpole Zaide warns him and says, not now. And he says, he keeps on asking, and the Shpole Zaide tells him, he hints to him like he's going to regret it if he doesn't stop. And he doesn't stop. He keeps on going. To the point where the Shpole Zaide says, I swear, you're not going to ever have children. Whoa. Yeah. And the chassid hears this. Obviously, it says in the story that he mixed him up. He really interrupted his thoughts. But Shpole Zaide was doing something that was very, very important, in the heavens, in the higher realms. The chassid hears this, and he was very, very hurt. He realized what he just did. He said, this is not my place. And he got up and he said bye to the Shpole Zaide, and he left. He was traveling at one point and he came to the town of Koritzer, and that's where the holy R Pinchas Koritzer lives. But it was before R Pinchas became well known as a Rebbe. It was before he was revealed, right? So, but this chassid was able to smell, who's holy, who's a very high level. And he sees the way R Pinchas is acting. He saw him in the Beis Medrash. He sees how he's acting, and he kept on, looking at him and really observing him. And he realized that this person is not only a very special person, he's a Baal Ruach HaKodesh. He has special holy powers. And he hears R Pinchas krechting. He hears R Pinchas sighing that it was close to Pesach. And it was mamash it was like a few days before Pesach, and he hears R Pinchas sighing that now he's going to have to go ahead and be mevatel Torah. He won't have time to learn Torah because he needs to go and prepare for Pesach. And this chassid asked around about R Pinchas, and he heard that he's very poor. This chassid had money, Baruch Hashem. He went over to the house of R Pinchas, and he asks the wife what she needs for the Yom Tiv. And he goes and he takes out all the money necessary for matzah, for all the things for the Seder plate. he buys furniture, he goes all out. And he asks the lady anything else they need, and he goes and buys everything. And as the days are coming closer, he tells R Pinchas' wife, tell me whatever it is you need and I'll pay for it. And he asked her not to let R Pinchas know until the night of the Seder. And R Pinchas, on the other hand, the days are coming towards Pesach, and his wife didn't ask him to help at all, and he's all shocked. He's wondering what's going on. Why is my wife leaving me alone instead of every single year she's asking for help for Pesach? But he didn't ask questions. He didn't complain. He was happy that he's able to learn Torah and not be Mabel Torah, and he learned all the way until Erev Pesach. He comes home. Very close to Yom Tov already, and he sees that everything's ready, and this chassid was there preparing. And he asked his wife, what's going on? Where do we get all this? And his wife points to the chassid and says, "This is he took care of everything." So Reb Pinchas, after shul, he tells the chassid, "Shalom Aleichem," and he doesn't say anything. Make kiddush to the seder plate, and Reb Pinchas started the whole process with very high level of dveikus, and the chassid was able to see not only everything that he saw about Reb Pinchas before. Now he saw that this was not just someone who had Ruach HaKodesh, not just a very holy person, but one of the greatest tzaddikim of the time. So after the first two cups, while they're having the Suda, the Pinchas Koritzer asked the chassid, why are you here, and what would you like? Right, how can I help you? So the chassid said everything happened by the Shpole Zaide, and he asked the Pinchas if there's a way that he can somehow retract this oath that the Shpole Zaide made that he's not going to have kids. So Rav Pinchas said, if I have any merit in heaven, I swear that this year you're going to have a kid. That's what he says. And that's what happened. That year, he had a son.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. We have the Heilige Ruzhiner told this story. Right? Rabbi Yisrael of Ruzhin says a story, and he explained the process. Right? It's not a simple thing. You have two tzaddikim. They both swore, and their oaths are exact opposites. So who do you listen to?
And that's that once a tzaddik says something, it has to be McLean.
Exactly. The Heilige Ruzhiner says like this: in the moment that R Pinchas Koritzer made that oath, there was pandemonium in Shamayim. Who do you listen to? And whose words do you push away? Right? The Shpole Zaide made an oath one way, and the Pinchas Koritzer made an oath a different way. So whose oath do we have to fulfill? And so the psak din in the Beis Din Shamayla was that whichever tzaddik never swore beforehand in their life, even a truthful oath, that's the one that we're going to listen to. And so they did a chakira, right? They did an investigation, and it was Reb Pinchas Koritzer who had never sworn beforehand.
Wow.
And so they listened to him. We should be able to wish each other a Freilich and Tisha B'Av.
We are going to be Freilich and Tisha B'Av.
That's true.
On Sunday.
I'm saying even on.
Even on the bed.
You should be able to eat after Shkia Shabbos afternoon.
You should be able to have Mal Malka next
I
week.
could always eat after Shkia.
I am an ancient wall of stone atop a hill so high, and if you listen with your heart, you just may hear my cry.
Anyways, I just want to say, last week I said a story about the Arizal, about how his students went on a cloud to Lublin, and it said there was a story in the show. So I didn't really find out the full story, it seems, but this little part. Basically, the Arizal students came on a cloud to Lublin. It's a whole story on its own, and they came into the shul, and they were waiting for the Marshal, who was the Rav of the shul over there, in order to start Chazar Shashatz again. And it says that he was thinking about something. Everyone was waiting for him, and one of the students of Reb Chaim, of the Arizal, one of the students, I don't, it was either Reb Chaim Vital or Yisrael Srug, said, "Why are we waiting for this rabbi?" He said, "Why are we waiting for this rabbi? He's thinking about a wheel of a wagon." And anyway, so he tells the Shamish is very, he was very hurt. He was like, what are you talking about the Marshal like this? No, so he went over to the Marshal, the Shamish. He told him what's going on, and he wanted to throw these guys out of the show. He said, "Don't throw them out." What happens is, I always think about Torah after Shemini Esrei, for Choshen Shatz, because it's a time when it's quiet. And I had made a psak din regarding a wheel of a wagon, and I was thinking about the psak din. So he said, these people have Ruach HaKodesh, don't bother them. And then the second thing that happened, last week I said a story that they brought food with them that was still warm. But what I saw tonight, and I still need to, I still need to find out. But it said basically that he cut his challah. He cut the challah, and there was an ant inside the challah, and the ant was cut in half or something like that. Yeah, whatever. That's what happened. And basically,
it sounds like a bad apple joke.
I know. Right, exactly. What's worse than biting into an apple with a worm? Is that biting half a worm? No. Basically, it's a very strange thing. Basically, one of the students put something over his eyes, and he saw the ant the size of a camel, and it was very disturbing. Very weird. But basically, he afterwards took out the warm food was 2 loaves of bread, and he said that Arizal saw that you were going to have. No, he had big pockets, 2 loaves of bread, and he said the Arizal saw that you were going to have a problem with your challah, and so he prepared 2 loaves of challah for you.